Hey guys, it's Amy with aim.to.plan, and today I'm going to be putting together my work planner slash habit tracker for the month of May. So I'm actually putting together this habit tracker for the month of May. I did post a previous video talking about how I wasn't planning to set up anything for work in the month of May, but a couple of things happened. One, I realized that part of May I will have to work just because I don't actually stop working until mid-May. Boo. And then secondly, I actually had a viewer ask how I set up my work trackers. And so I thought this would be a good time just to walk you through how I think through and set up my work tracker, and hopefully this will give you some helpful tips for how you can set up your own habit trackers. And so just to get started, the first thing is I went ahead and pulled these classroom checklists, and so you can see here that basically the sheet that I pulled was like this beginning sheet, which I won't be using, and then like an end sheet, which again I probably won't be using, although this is a good chance for me to kind of take notes for work, so I might actually use that now that I'm looking at that. So basically, if you look across this, I'm only setting this up for May, and I can walk you through how I will set it up for June and July, which is when I start my summer semester. But essentially, if you count all the way across, I'll just double check, but I'm pretty sure it's 33 lines. So it's a good kind of like already set up for a month, and you have a couple of extra lines here. And you can use it for any kind of habit tracker. I did prior to kind of picking up the Disbound Happy Planner system, I was a huge bullet journaler, and my habit trackers were some of like the most popular kind of posts that I made on Instagram. And one of the reasons for that is that I pretty much try to routinize and make a habit pretty much everything in my life. And so I'm doing the same thing in terms of work. And so let me just kind of talk you through the process of how I do this. Pretty much I pull these sheets, and this is just for the month of May. And if I wanted to add a like just continue doing it instead of like rewriting the list every month, one of the things that you can do is basically cut off this line right here. In fact, I'll show it to you so you can kind of see it, and I'll need my planner just so you can see it in action. But basically I cut down this side right here where there are the extra like spots for names, and if you cut it down right here, you'll basically create another, like, let's see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13, so 26. Not quite a month, but pretty close. All right, and so how it kind of works in a planner is I pop it on the planner, you know, as is. Again, I'm just setting it up for May right now. I'm noticing there's like this big streak right here, which is kind of annoying. Probably just have to throw that sheet away. But if I'm using the exact same habit, like list of habits, then I can just create these sheets and I won't have to worry about like rewriting the list every single month. But again, like what happens in May for me in terms of work will be a little bit different than what happens in June. So I'm going to be setting up just for May, but I would write the list. I will write the list here, and then if you need to add pages, just create it like this, and you can fold it over, and you can kind of see if you fold it over like this, that you can just use the exact same list and date across here and just continue using it and until you stop, right? And what I would encourage you to do is kind of like right around here, like if you're using this kind of cut system, kind of right here, decide whether you're going to go another half of a month, right? And so if you're going to be using it for at least 2 or 3 more weeks, then go ahead and continue using through here. But if you're going to use it for longer than 3 or 4 weeks, like if you're wanting to go a couple more months with it, go ahead and trim down the next sheet and go from there. And even if you just trim it down, you're really only losing these 7 lines, so you're losing a week. And so, you know, it might be worth it just to lose the week, but then have like the back sheet. And again, for me, I'm using this back sheet right here because I know for sure that this tracker is only for May, but you can certainly just use a double-sided sheet, like, and just use those sheets and just kind of create a running list until you kind of run out of energy for using the habit tracker. And again, habit tracking was one of my biggest things when I was a bullet journaler, and so I really love habit tracking. One of the benefits for me is that I'm able to kind of like mentally free myself from like trying to remember all the things that I need to do on a daily basis at work, right? And I do it for my personal life, not so much with the Happy Planner anymore, but I definitely did it with my personal life as well. And so I'm going to get a sheet of paper and just kind of talk you through how I kind of come up with the things that I put on my habit tracker. And again, this list is for work, and so it's not going to be things related to like what I do personally, but certainly all the things that I want to do work-wise, I will put on here. And I'm just grabbing a pen, trying to find one that works. Like some of these are running low on ink, and so I've got them set here. So basically, I'm just gonna dump down and kind of like put down some of the things that are related to work for me. The biggest things for me in terms of my job, I'm a professor, is teaching, doing advising, and that's, I mean, those are the two main things, but teaching and advising. Now, in terms of teaching, in the month of May, I will be doing some teaching, but I do have separate checklists already set up for my spring semester, and I'll continue using those. And then once May, like the spring semester ends, I won't actually be teaching any, so this one won't apply at all, but I will still be doing advising. One of the things that I have in my work habit tracker is a list of all of my advisees, and you know, as I make contact with them, emails, phone calls, or see them face to face, I just put a check mark with the date, so that way I know how often I contact each student and how frequently across the semester I've worked with them, just like, you know, any classroom or contact sheet. But in terms of, again, in May, since we're starting summer semester, one of the things that I won't do is carry over an advising list. What I'll do instead is kind of leave space down here for me to write a list of students who end up reaching out to me and making contact with me. And so instead of having like the full list already kind of pre-laid out and I just track across the entire semester, with summer semester they just don't reach out as much, and I don't need to contact every single student as required for my job. I mean, so I'll just make a list as I need to. And so for advising, one of the biggest things that I have to do every day is check my email, right? So I'll do email, and I do like to, for email, have like a spot, and this is just my own personal preference, a spot for like checking email in the morning and then checking email in the afternoon. And then if I happen to check email like super late at night, like pretty much after dinner. And so I leave these spaces to just like three lines, 3 rows, just to track these things. And it really, again, it's just personal preference. I definitely want to check email at least once a day, but sometimes it's just nice to know when exactly I check. So that way, you know, if I checked Monday late at night, then I don't necessarily need to check Tuesday early in the morning, because I probably didn't receive that many emails. So it's just a good, for me, a good kind of like visual of like how spaced out my email checking is. So that's the first thing. The second big thing for me in terms of summer is doing summer prep. And so this would be related to like setting up my classes for the fall. So I'll just write class prep. I actually try to read through my textbooks, that kind of thing. And so for summer, for May, I'll just leave it very simple and just kind of put class prep. And I do have several classes, so I might list out the classes here and just, again, leave several rows of just those classes and go across here. I think that might actually be it. I'm just going to keep it very simple. Just check my email, start preparing for my classes. I do have a summer class as well, so I got to make sure that I put my summer class prep here, and then fall classes. So that's it for May. Now, I did that for myself, but one of the things that I encourage you to do is basically during a week, if you're planning to do this even in your personal life or in your work life, one of the things I recommend you do is just keep like a scratch sheet of paper on your desk or wherever you will like kind of look at it. I mean, as you go through certain things, you're just like, oh man, I need to like remember to do this regularly, but it's not something I want to write down in my planner, right? So again, like one of the big things for me is checking email, right? But you can just kind of, as you're going through your work day or whatever you're wanting to use the habit tracker for, just go through and say, okay, I'm checking email right now, or I need to make phone calls, right? And excuse my chicken scratch, I really actually have, I think I have to take my time to write neatly. So phone calls, you may have to do other like sales related stuff, and you know, it could be anything, but basically you're wanting to like come up with a list of like the routine regular tasks, things that you do like even on a daily basis. But I try to at least have things that are done frequently enough, like I'm doing it at least once a week. So once a week or more frequently, these are the things I'm trying to note down. And so I just make a list. And again, I've been using a habit tracker for at this point like 5 or 6 years, and so I kind of know what my life looks like and the routines that I want to have in my day. But if you're starting it from fresh, you've never actually used a habit tracker, just go ahead and list everything that you have out there. And again, these are the things, like if you're looking at this list and you're like, these are the things I do every day for work, I just need to know that I've done it, I just don't want to have it sitting in my planner every single time, then you can just put it on the habit tracker. I've done habit trackers for things related to like drinking water, right? So you don't want to put drinking water on your list on your planner every single day, but if you have like water, then you can just check it across the month, right? Or exercise, or doing yoga, or meditating, or I mean, it could be anything, right? Like I had for a while, especially after I was like just had my baby, like I had like take a shower right? So again, like very simple things, like things you probably don't want to put this in your planner, but it's nice to kind of have a separate spot where I tend to leave this like habit tracker just like this open on my desk, especially during work, and just check things off as I need to. Okay, and so that's pretty much it. Now this habit tracker, I do not decorate at all. I basically just leave it just like this. I gotta make sure I'm on the right page. I don't want to write on the wrong page. Okay, so yeah, okay, so that's definitely the right page for me, right? And so I don't write on this at all. Sorry, put stickers. I do, of course, write on it, but it's going to be basically where I start with the very first day of May. And again, some of this is going to be, in fact, all of this habit tracker is for preparing for summer and fall. And so I do have previous checklists for the spring semester that I'm still going to be using. So I'll use those lists as well as this list. And so May 1st is, I cannot believe it, but it is Friday, right? And so what I do is basically just put Friday, May 1st, Saturday, May 2nd, and then all the way down. Again, there should be enough, 3, 4, and I think I counted it, it was 33, but I'm not going to write it all on camera. Basically, I'll just date all the way down. I don't worry about it fitting into the box. Again, this is meant to be completely functional for me. And then I'm pulling my list here of the things that I said I would need to do for May, and I'll actually show you my spring semester checklist, at least the not the advising ones, but like what I actually do for, I have some notes from other stuff, right? So the one that I have for like spring semester. So you can see here again, like I use this system right here. I have checking email, again, the 3 spots for that. And then I have like post advising notices, basically when I send out an announcement or an email related to advising stuff. You know, when we get information from the registrar's office, I just send those and forward that information to the students. And then I have a breakdown of my classes, and I don't need this for May so much. I'm going to keep it like this set up, but here, since it's spring semester, I'm actually teaching. I have things related to prepping and specific class related things like grading, right? But definitely prepping and grading. Those are the big things here. And again, I came up with this list just like going through like one typical week and kind of mentally, or even just actually living out a week and then making the list afterward. So flipping back to where we are here, again, for May, I'm not going to have it quite so detailed. I'm basically going to be putting email, again, the same 3 slots here. So it's checking email. And I know it's AM, afternoon, and PM, so I don't necessarily need to note that down, but I just leave the 3 rows here for that. And then I didn't put it on here. Well, I put it right here, but I'll just make sure that I add it here, advising notices, since I had it on the other list. And then class prep, right? I'll actually skip a space right here just so there's a little bit of a gap, right? And so I'll do class prep for my summer class and then prep for my fall classes. And I'll list the class out here. I actually don't remember the codes for them. It's like end of semester, like brain fog. I actually don't remember which classes I'm teaching in the fall. And so I'll list that here. And again, this is just for May. For me, I will have a separate setup, which will be very similar to what I showed you just a little while ago for my summer semester. I only have 1 class that I'm teaching, so it's going to be a little bit slimmer in terms of like how many lines, how many rows I'm using, but it's the same setup: prep, just making sure that I'm grading regularly, making contact with the students. And so that will will be what I use for my summer semester. Here for the May, in between spring and summer semester, I'll just leave this as a blank spot. And these lines right here, again, I'll just, instead of listing out all of my advisees, I'll just make a note of which advisee contacts me, and I'll just mark that as I go through, right? And so I have a record of all my advising contacts and all of my teaching work as I do my prep, right? And that's pretty much the setup. Very, very simple. And again, I feel like it works great for work tasks in particular, just because there are certain things at work that you just kind of do repeatedly, repetitively, and in a routine, and it just makes sense to have it on this kind of setup rather than writing it over and over and over on your planner. But this system, like a habit tracker, also works really well for any kind of personal wellness type stuff that you're wanting to kind of develop into a habit. It's good to kind of see visually across time what you have and have not completed. And I encourage you to just list out the things that you're doing regularly, so that way you have a kind of a mix of things that you're already doing well, and then maybe adding in 1 or 2 habits and kind of picking up from there. And so that's pretty much it for me. And so I hope you enjoyed this video. It's pretty quick. I mean, I wrote just a few lines, as you can see, but hopefully the explanation for how I set up my habit tracker helped you. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next video, bye.